The Ignite champions for Asia, EMEA and the Americas are decided, and the location of the mid-season finals is revealed. All this and more on this Rivals Esports Recap. Welcome to the Rivals Esports Recap, the home of your news from the Rivals Esports scene in just a few minutes. Spoilers for Ignite ahead, let's get into the news. The Rivals Meta Cup Open Qualifier was this week, where top EMEA teams from MRC like Uncles and Ex-Oblivion joined former Ignite teams of Alcancia and All Business to qualify for the main event, with the rest of the teams earning their spots being Think Twice, Dracaris, Better Than Avengers, and Buzeko is my best guess at how to pronounce that. 8 teams are still to be invited to the main event, which will be starting this Thursday. More on that when I know more. Galacta's Gauntlet number 1 was this weekend, run by EGL, with Citadel Gaming continuing their streak of great post-Ignite performances by taking the win in a 2-0 over 1 below all. Congratulations. The regional Ignite rounds are concluded with the exception of China, as it is 1 to 2 weeks displaced from the rest of the world's Ignites. Let's break down Asia, EMEA and the Americas, starting with Asia. With 2 spots for the mid-season finals this August up for grabs, the pressure was on with Group A's 3rd seed Crazy Raccoon forming an upset of getting a win over Gen G that had already beaten them once in the group stage. Reject from Group B, though, continued a victorious run, not dropping a single series and becoming the first team to make it to the grand finals and securing their spot at the mid-season finals. The team joining them was decided by a 3rd rematch between Gen G and Crazy Raccoon. This time, Gen G were victorious, earning their spot in the mid-season and in those grand finals. This series must be watched to be believed. In a best of 7, these teams went to a map 8 because they tied in round 7 on Symbiotic Surface. They were so evenly matched, they literally tied the last game of a series, forcing another. But in that game 8, a champion arose, as Rejects continued their undefeated run as they took Spider Islands and are the first Asia Ignite champions. Moving on to EMEA, where the big story was Virtus.pro finding themselves in the lower bracket for the 2nd time in a few weeks. This time it was by the hands of Patapim, their long-time rivals. In the upper bracket, fighting for EMEA's first of 2 mid-season spots was Patapim versus Rad EU, with Rad taking the win in the final round, taking the first final spot and setting up that lower bracket rematch between Patapim versus Virtus.pro. It all looked over for Virtus.pro, but they were able to recover, evening up the series into a 2-2, but this recovery just wasn't enough, with Patapim taking the series and the 2nd spot in the mid-season finals, along with that rematch versus Rad for the first EMEA Championship. In the run back, it was Patapim that took the 4-2, becoming the first ever EMEA Ignite champions. It was my absolute pleasure to be covering EMEA for you this season, and I look forward to doing more in the future. Thank you all for the support. And now with the Americas. With 3 spots up for grabs, we found our representatives out fairly quickly, with Sentinels, 100 Thieves and Envy securing their spots, with Envy taking 3rd, leading into a very familiar grand finals. 2 MRCs in a row have led us to this. Round 3 of 100 Thieves versus Sentinels, with Sentinels keeping their streak going, with a 4-3 victory. Sentinels are your America's Ignite champions. And now, with the exception of China, while we wait for their results next week, here are the teams qualified for the mid-season finals. For OCE, we have Ground Zero Gaming. From Asia, we have Reject and Gen G. In EMEA, it is Patapim and Rad EU, and for the Americas, with their extra slots, Envy, 100 Thieves and Sentinels will be heading to China. Moving on now to MRC, with 14.5 grand per region and 2 slots for Ignite available for the PC teams, the pressure is on. Here are the final 8 teams for each region and system. I will be covering several of the final games as time goes on, including those console ones, so make sure to subscribe so you can see them when they go up. Coming up this week, with Ignite over until the mid-season finals, Fight Night will make its triumphant return this Thursday. Envy and Patapim have already been shown in their spots, with the rest of the teams yet to be confirmed. Tune into the games on their Twitch or back here next week for the results. And that's it. Here are the transfers for the week. And did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments below. Support the show by liking, leaving a comment, subscribing, and ringing that bell to help boost this show in the algorithm. Consider becoming a member to support the show directly and get your name in the credits. And here is the clip of the week.
Even tries to go for Final Judgment, and Insomnia don't know that the Psylocke's there. No, he uses it off of the Eye of Agamotto.
It's unreal. It's Wolver season. half wrong. He's on the strange, but just decided to use his legs up until now. Now he's gone for the portal play to set up the turret. Lovely stuff.
So they hear the portal, they're going to position because they did that portal close enough that Vertus Pro would have probably got the sound key. Here comes the portal into the collector, but no!
It's the wrong way! It's the wrong way around! No!